There are three types of D&D players in the world. Those who have not yet read Night's Dark Terror, those that think it's one of the best modules ever written, and those that are wrong. This module is the crown jewel of BECMI as well as Mystara. It has achieved legendary status for the sheer amount of material you find in it, and the cheek-clenching prices you will pay for a complete vintage copy. When you get to page 6, the module throws you into one of the greatest battles in D&D history, and then it never takes its foot off the gas. Welcome to Mystara. I'm Mr. Welch, and today we're going straight to the top. Night's Dark Terror was the love child of TSR UK mainstays Jim Bambra, Graham Morris, and Phil Gallagher. In the US, the module has the code B10, but in the UK, it's coded as module BX1. The UK version is the rarer of the two, though finding either intact these days requires a lot more patience and a lot more money. The game was printed in 1986 and is the longest module at the time with 64 pages, 8 of those being a pull-out section. Brian Williams did the cover art, Helen Bedford drew the interior art. But that doesn't even begin to cover what the module gives you physically. Be warned, from here on out, there will be spoilers. The first thing the party will encounter in this module is a settlement under attack, the legendary siege at Sekiskin. It's the party, a few settlers, against 85 attacking goblins. I didn't stutter. Your party of third-level adventurers has to fight off waves of goblins, including several wolf riders. They are behind the settlement's walls, so that does somewhat mitigate the goblins' numbers, but they will be retreating to more defensible positions several times in this battle. And the module gives you a massive fold-out map for the entire settlement and die-cut counters for every single goblin in the battle. For those thinking that you just need to replace the nigh impossible to find counters with the new cheap miniatures you can get these days, you're going to need 5 leaders, 8 wolf riders, and 72 infantry. You ain't getting out of spending a lot of money on Night's Dark Terror. The siege is the first significant encounter in the book. It was like nothing else any module had ever thrown at you before. What did you get from similar modules? Hey, here's a mysterious cave. What's inside of it? Or here, have a treasure map. No, there's none of that. It's, okay, you cross a river and see some goblins. How many goblins? 7. Oh, we can handle that. Dozen. Everybody run! The module doesn't let go for a second. You get a few breather moments, but that's to lure you into a false sense of security before the next battle. Each combat is at an increasingly more dramatic location. There's ship-to-ship combat in a battle against the Iron Ring. You get ambushed in the narrow streets of Fogor Island. An epic struggle in ancient ruins with a minotaur lurking in an invisible maze. Then it ends in a lost valley that changes history. And that's just skimming past all the secondary encounters. Night's Dark Terror helped shape what would become the known world by giving us a ground-level introduction to Karameikos. Instead of a few paragraphs here and there, it showed how people lived daily. Much of this would be absorbed into the Karameikos Gazetteer, with a few minor changes like the spelling of the city of Kevlin. It gave us a tour of Threshold and a fleeting glimpse of Riflian. It gave us part of the Mystaran calendar, and even a weather chart, though I don't think either of those survived conversion intact. It gave us the rules for natural healing, which was left out of BECMI and the Rule Cyclopedia. Even then, it was just a hit point a day with complete bed rest. They never did get that right. So remember to bring a cleric. The module introduced one of the best D&D villain groups with the Iron Ring, the slaver guys that are hell-bent on raiding villages for victims. They never did say who they sold all their slaves to, except for the Black Eagle Barony, but that's not a very large location for the number of slaves these guys are moving. The Iron Ring gets an organizational breakdown. You meet several of their leaders, and their leader replacements if you manage to off one during the adventure. They aren't stupid bad guys, though their basic foot troops have no purpose other than cannon fodder. It's okay, kill all you want. They'll make more. They are cruel, intelligent, and seemingly everywhere. The best part about the Iron Ring is it doesn't matter what you do to them. You don't feel bad about it in the morning. The module has a well-earned reputation for being tightly written, with barely enough time for the players to catch their breath. It's fairly linear, but it doesn't feel forced. The reason behind this is the bulk of the module is a chase. Either the bad guys have the MacGuffin, in which case the party has to go after them to get it back, or the party has the MacGuffin, and the bad guys are nipping at their heels. Even when they get to a rest area, they aren't safe. The bad guys really want that MacGuffin. If they're behind, there's no time to rest. The party will fight, crawl, and wrestle their way past the finish line and never feel like they didn't have a choice. This is because they're up against an organization, not random mooks. Kill one of the leaders, and another one steps in to take his place. The Iron Ring has several groups between the party and the goal. They aren't facing the same bad guy over and over again. Every time the Iron Ring finds them, it's a new boss leading the fight. The slavers communicate with each other. If the party lets some get away, they will find the next bunch of slavers have been informed on what to expect and will adjust their tactics. The Iron Ring will try different methods to get to the party. If brute force fails, the next group will try stealth. The party will be so done with the Iron Ring by the time this module is over that the final battle will be personal. While the party will grow to hate the Iron Ring, they will get to know the various NPCs they encounter in the adventure. The inhabitants of Sekuskin are written as actual people. They have chores to do if their lives aren't in danger. They will make small talk with the party. Piotr will ask the party for advice and give it if necessary. They will address the party members by name and generally try to be memorable and realistic. They grieve if some of their numbers are slain. If the goblins threaten to break in, the able-bodied will throw themselves into battle to give the less capable time to find a safer place to retreat to. But remember, it's a siege. There's not many safe places you can go. By the time the first act is finished, the party will have been adopted into Piotr's clan, whether they want to or not. Not all the NPCs will be your friend. Some will use you to get what they want. Loken the Cheval, a fey creature that protects horses, needs the party's help, but he's not their friend. If you impress him and complete the tasks he gives you, his attitude does change from openly sarcastic to only talking bad behind you about your back. You're a tool to him. You're never going to be anything more than a tool to him. The only reason why you're talking to him is you both have something that the other needs. Sergeant Arthal might appreciate any information about the Iron Ring's activities and threshold, but he still expects the party to follow the law. Even many bad guys can act intelligently or have motivations the parties can take advantage of. The Goblin Tribes attack the settlement all have different levels of motivation and competence. One follows the orders of the Iron Ring without question, while another is happy to hang back and let the others do the majority of the fighting. The third just wants loot, and is satisfied with whatever they can steal. You can come across some bandits that have acquired the horses the goblins stole during the siege. You can fight them, but they're reasonable, and they will sell the horses back to the party if someone brings them up. They're happy with gold no matter how they earn it. If the party looks weak, they attack. The fun part is the party's guide will argue against both the party and the bandits as he doesn't want to pay to get his property back. Hope at least one character didn't use charisma as a dump stat. There's no generic monsters in Night's Dark Terror. It plays up the tribes of goblins, orcs, and gnolls as different groups, each with its customs, tactics, and superstitions. The Jagadash goblins have no stomach for a prolonged fight. The Clawslunk goblins are more aggressive, even turning on the other goblin tribes when the opportunity presents itself. You will know who each tribe is by their markings. They aren't just regular goblins. Some of them have reputations that precede them. If the party sees the heads on spikes that are the calling card of the Galt Kalat gnolls, the party knows they're in grave danger, and they had best move quickly. The final act has the party in way over their head. They're being chased by hundreds of gnolls who don't like anyone on their territory. Throw in the Iron Ring either right behind them or ahead of the party, and the enemies surround the characters. Then they get to the biggest twist in Mystara, the Lost Valley of the Hutaka. This entire chase to find a hidden treasure leads the party into an isolated valley filled with hundreds of devolved humans and jackal-headed humanoids who hate each other. Both see the party as the element that tips the balance of power. They're trapped in an even-sided battle of genocide which has lasted for centuries. Like many others in this adventure, they see the party as tools, and disposable tools at that. The party must deal with the ancient and bitter rivalries between the two races, as they both want the party to clean out an undead-filled temple. The party has to go into a straight-on dungeon crawl, though a small one, but it also will discover the true history of the region, the two races, and what really happened in the earliest part of Trollodara's past. This kind of information will cause significant religious turmoil if it gets back to the churches of Karameikos. Of course, the party's erstwhile ally will want to get rid of the party and take all the treasure for themselves, but if this wasn't obvious during the first meeting with the Hutakans or the Traldar, the party wasn't paying attention. That will add to the tension, because they do need the help of the valley's inhabitants. But the players know that the party can't trust their allies, and they're going to be betrayed. To make matters worse, there's a lot of treasure in that temple, far more than what the party can carry. There are electrum bars worth tens of thousands of gold in total. They also weigh 70 pounds each. Good luck getting the jewel-encrusted ebony throne out of the valley when it weighs more than a quarter ton. Those are the major plot points behind Night's Dark Terror, but there's a lot of side quests that catch the party up for leveling or to give them an excursion while they're traveling from point to point. The Island of Lost Dreams is probably the most famous, with the party having a limited time to save some Kalari elves from madness on an island where the local fey creatures have gone mysteriously hostile. These side quests are primarily at the start of the adventure before the breakneck speed kicks in. You can use or ignore them as you see fit, but they are relatively well put together. Now, you want a copy, but you're going to have to look to see what's the best way to get it. First, you've got the original module, which can be pricey. This is one of the most expensive modules that wasn't recalled or limited edition. Incomplete copies in terrible condition go for hundreds of dollars. Not to brag, but my copy is neither incomplete nor terrible. Okay, I'm bragging. You're going to have a doozy of a time finding a copy with the die-cut counters or the complete map. There's a lot of POD copies on Amazon and eBay right now for about $25, but you're going to need to piece the map together for the siege. There's a PDF available for $5, but the physical aspects of this module are its selling points, especially for new players. If you want to play the module, grab a POD and head to your friendly local game store for several dozen goblins and a lot of terrain packs. That's Night's Dark Terror. It stands at the top for a reason. It's well written, has lots of action, and keeps the party engaged from start to finish. It's a blast to play and run. Getting it is the problem. The next remaster is Rahazia, originally 2 tournament modules that were merged together. The one where the princess hires you to save the prince. Or you can try to convince her that he's just not worth it. But until next time, remember, victory or death.